Welcome in, Sneeples. It is time for Super Slam Pre-Release. Let's talk about how to build our decks and have some fun at this pre-release. Now, before we get started, I want to do a special shout out to the Fab family. You guys have been watching our pre-release videos from the beginning, and we greatly appreciate it. I hope that everything I've been saying has been helping you guys over the years, so I just want to give a special shout out to you guys. Now, let's get into what we need to know for Super Slam. And I'm going to say something here that we have a lot of new things to talk about. So, first off, we have 4 heroes, new heroes. We have only 2 classes. We have 2 new talents. And we have something that no other set has ever done before, and that is no weapons. We don't have any weapons in this set, none at all. That means we're gonna need to win with the cards in our deck. So what cards are we gonna put in our deck? Well, let's talk about the first of our heroes, and that is a revered, aka the good guy, brute hero called Tough Nut. Alright, so Tough Nut. You might already know something that you haven't seen in a very long time, maybe ever. Our boy only has 3 intelligence. He's not the smartest of heroes. However, his ability helps make up for it. If you tap Tough Nut, you can pitch the top card of your deck. That means that top card goes in your pitch zone, and whatever pitch value it has, that's how many resources you have. This helps counteract Toughness 3 intelligence. Basically, you have 3 cards in your hand plus the top card of your deck. Now, you get an additional value if the card that you pitch has a power of 6 or more. That helps you get a toughness token because the crowd cheers you because you're Tough Nut. Everyone loves you. But a toughness token helps with your defense on the following turn. It gives +1 defensive value to the next action card that you block with. So having that toughness token can help, again, negate your 3 intelligence. So how do we build our Tough Nut deck to maximize this ability? Well, we're looking for a lot of yellow and blue pitches that have a 6 power. The more yellow and blue cards that we can pitch from the top of our deck that has 6 power, the more times we will get the full maximum value off of Tough Nut. Now, the other thing we're looking for is a lot of big attacks that only cost 2. Or if you're able to pitch a blue, cost 3. Alright, being a brute, you have access to a lot of big attacks. That's just what brute does. So there's plenty of cards out there that cost 2 and comes in for 6. Therefore, a most ideal Tough Nut turn is blocking with 2 of your 3 cards from hand, pitching a blue or yellow off the top if it's a 6 attack power, getting an extra toughness token for the next turn, and now playing that last card that was in your hand, coming in, swinging in for a big number, whether it be 6 or 7, whatever the case, and just slowly winning the Fab Math battle. That's what Tough Nut is. For him having only 3 intelligence, he's a hero based around Fab Math. You know, my boy can do some math. Alright, if you aren't really sure what Fab Math is, don't worry. We have a whole video explaining exactly what Fab Math is. It's basically just getting the most value out of every card. And Tough Nut can do that. Alright, now that we talked about Tough Nut, let's talk about his evil counterpart. And that is the reviled brute hero. You've heard this name before, Kayo. However, this Kayo works a little bit different than the other Kayo that you might know. This Kayo is a bit of a cheat. That is a play on his name, of course, but the reason is because of his ability, being able to pay for to make your attack have a base power of 6. Now, this might sound, kind of whatever, might not even sound that good, until you look at attacks like Battered, Beaten, and Broken have an on hit, as long as you're able to meet the conditions, but it only comes in for 1 attack. Now with KO's ability, we can make it come in for an attack of 6. But we can do this at instant speed. We can get a little evil and a little cheaty with it. That is, we can attack with our 1 power attack and see what our opponent does. If our opponent decides to block with just 1 card, okay, we'll use his ability, we'll pump it up to 6, we'll get the extra damage in, and we'll get the on hit. If our opponent blocks with 2 cards, blocking 6, okay, then we just let it be. Then we don't have to use the ability. Instead, we can arsenal our card and have them block 2 cards to our 1 card that only came in for 1 to begin with. And when we have no weapons in this set, every card matters. Fatigue is real. So if Kayo is able to take 2 cards for just 1 of his cards, then you're doing a very good job on fatiguing your opponent. Now you're also a brute. You also do just have big attacks, and you also will just be coming in for massive amounts of damage. Every time that the crowd boos you, you get a bigger token. That makes your attacks a lot cheaper. That also makes your ability cheaper, by the way, where you only need 1 blue in your hand for that, so that's also nice. You're just doing big numbers a lot of the time, whether they are inflated through the ability or just big brute attacks. There's even some things that give a bonus if it has a higher base attack. Cards like Flex Speed and Flex Strength look to get a bit of a bonus if you are able to activate Kayo. So Kayo is able to, make things a little bit difficult for your opponent to predict exactly what you're doing, and that's really the benefit and fun aspect to him. Let's go back to the good guys and let's talk about our revered guardian hero, Pleiades. Now Pleiades isn't going to operate like your typical guardian. That is because she's going to be doing stuff on your opponent's turn, alright? When you are playing Pleiades, you're going to be playing a lot of instant auras. And a lot of the instant auras are going to have suspense counters on them. And that's where Pleiades' ability comes in handy. Because with Pleiades, you can tap her to remove a suspense counter from 1 aura and put it onto another aura. You may. Let's say you have an Edge of Their Seats on play, and let's say it has 1 suspense counter. In your hand, you have an Act of Glory and a very strong attack. Now you want to play out the Act of Glory and have the strong attack get a benefit from the Act of Glory, but the Act of Glory comes in with 2 suspense counters. So if you just played Act of Glory, you wouldn't get it for the next turn. However, with Pleiades' ability, now you can tap her to remove a suspense counter from Act of Glory and be able to play out your attack. Gets both the benefits of Edge of Their Seats and Act of Glory to be able to come in for a massive amount of damage. Now, if you also happen to have an aura out that you want to keep around for as long as possible, auras such as To Be Continued, What Happens Next, or The Suspense Is Killing Me, you can use Pleiades' ability to remove counters from these other auras that gives you pumps to give on to these auras that you want to keep around. That is the magic of Pleiades. That was a lot, but that's what she does. She's not your typical guardian. She's moving stuff around. She's playing at instant speed. She's doing all this weird stuff, and we haven't even talked about when she gets cheered. If Pleiades gets cheered, she gets a confidence token. Confidence tokens are big, especially for her playstyle. The reason being is that confidence tokens make it where your opponent can only block with 2 non-block cards. Alright? That includes equipment cards. That means that they can only give you 2 cards in front of your next attack. That is what a confidence token is. It is an aura. It does not have a suspense counter, but it is an aura. She makes this when she is cheered. Alright? So if you're able to get cheered, if you're able to have this confidence token be made when you have all these other like Act of Glory, Edge of Their Seats, when you have these auras get popped to have a big attack to where your opponent can only put a maximum of 2 cards in front of it, then you are going to deal a massive amount of damage. And that is what you're looking to do with Pleiades. You're looking to have these big pop-off turns, okay? You can probably take some off turns to kind of help set things up, block pretty well. You are a guardian after all, but then you're just going to have these big, massive damage turns. You can mitigate to work in your advantage with Pleiades' ability. Alright, so you're going to look for a lot of those instant auras that can give buffs and that you want to keep around, as mentioned before, and just come in with some fairly cheap attacks. You know, they can be some of those zero cost guardian attacks that you see here, or they can be some of the 3 for 7s. You know, you can come in with a big attack and make it even bigger. All the same, it's a very good strategy when playing with Pleiades. Our last hero, our reviled guardian hero, brings something completely new to the game, something that we have never seen before, and that is 5 intelligence. 5 intelligence. We've never seen this before. So why does he get to be so damn smart? Is because his ability is going against him. His ability makes it where your attacks and defense values are halved on all your cards. Rounded up, but still halved. So, despite you having 5 cards in your hand, your attacks are coming in for halved. However, his other ability kind of helps negate this. You can pay 2 resources at instant speed to get booed, which, whenever you get booed, you make a might token, so that gives you a bit of an attack, a bonus on your next turn. And then it also allows your defensive cards to have a defense value of +1. It basically allows your cards to be able to block normally. You do have to pay 2 for this ability, but again, you do get booed. That means you get a might token. You want that, and that makes your next turn a little bit better. Now, when you're building a Lyath deck, it looks a lot different than every other hero that you've ever built before. And again, this is really because of the cutting in half ability. If we look at a reviled card like Clinch the Upper Hand, okay? This card's a 0 for 4 that blocks for 2 normally. And normally, that's a pretty okay card with this extra ability, not too bad. However, with Lyath, this is a red pitch that is a 0 cost that only comes in for 2 and only blocks for 1. Not very good. But it gets a little bit better when we look at the yellow pitch, because now it pitches for 2, still only comes in for 2, same value, and blocks for 1. So the yellow is better than the red. Then if we look at the blue, it's coming in for 1, blocking for 1, but pitching for 3. So it's like the same value as the yellow. So with Lyath, you'll find when you're building a Lyath deck, you tend to like the blues and yellows more than the reds, because they're going to come in for about the same, but they have a better pitch value. You're also going to be looking for smaller attacks. These big attacks like Fight Dirty, which is like a 3 for 7, is really just a 3 for 4 in Lyath. 3 for 4 is not a good value. So with Lyath, you're looking to keep small in your attacks, and you're looking for blues and yellows. Now, big question here is, how the hell are you going to deal any damage to your opponent? How can you end the game if you're always attacking for 1s and 2s? Don't worry. One thing that isn't affected by Lyath's abilities is your pump cards. Cards like Villainous Pose, Sadistic Scowl, Act of Glory, Prime the Crowd. These cards bypass the Lyath's effect. They just pump, right? And so they are going to help get your small attacks become very, very big. Now, not all small attacks are the same. Some get additional bonuses when they get bigger. Attacks like Short Shrift, Small Problem, and Wee Wrecking Ball are all very good attacks when they get pumped up. And that's exactly what you're looking to do with Lyath. You're going to be looking to play these big pump-up spells to make your small attacks become mighty. This is also all very possible because you have 5 card hands, 6 cards if you have an arsenal, which means that like you have more cards to work with. You have more cards to, dedicate resources to. Hell, you even have more cards if you need to kind of block and have off turns, because you're probably going to have off turns of Lyath. You're going to have off turns to set up these big attacks, kind of like with Pleiades, and you're going to send it. The big difference is that when your opponent had to block with their entire hand, and they give you your full grip going back with, then you have 5 more cards. to work against them. So it's a deadly cycle if you can get it going when you're playing Lyath. The trick is to get it going. So those are all the heroes of Super Slam. So how do you pick which one to play? Well, when you get your 8 packs, open them all up, sort your cards into piles that are reflective on the class and the talent. Once you have all your piles, take out your bombs. All right, these are your majestics and super rares that just have a meaningful impact. If you're not sure which cards are really, really good and which cards really aren't, I do have a rankings. If you want to look at our sealed rankings, go ahead and check that out on the Patreon. Generally speaking, M tends to be good. S's tend to be pretty good. Look at what your bombs are. Look at what class and talents are within your bombs. Next up, what you want to do is look how many blues are in each pile. Every one of these heroes needs a hefty amount of blues to be able to activate their abilities, to be able to play out their big cards, just everything. Every one of these heroes needs a good amount of blues. So you're gonna probably go with whatever pile gives you the most amount of blues. So if you have a good amount of blues from Reviled and from Guardian, then you might be a Lyath. Brute and Revered, you might be a Tough Nut. You're going to be looking for the amount of blues and your bombs, and that's really going to be the best way to pick your heroes. If you see some little combinations, go for it. If you just want to have fun with a hero because you just want to play that hero, go for it all the same. But this has been my advice on how to build each hero and how to choose your heroes. So go out there, go have a lot of fun. This set, I'll be honest, I wasn't that stoked for it, but this set's actually a lot of fun. So I hope you guys go out and have some fun as well. Until next time, keep on fapping.